Hello, everybody. I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to my Q&A that I do live each week here on Monday. So welcome back. Someone mentioned here, is there a stretch goal to banish Comcast? This was not Comcast's fault today. I would like to say it was, but this is Kickstarter. We're getting ready to do our Kickstarter tomorrow. And in fact, if you have any questions regarding the Kickstarter, this would be a great place for me to answer them. I would love to talk about that. I'll talk about all kinds of things, board game related or non-board game related. I had a good weekend. If you missed it, me mentioning it 2,000 times, my daughter got married. So that's nice. Yeah, we got some new games in the mail today that I'm excited to play. So there's a lot of cool things going on. Although my life, it's kind of weird. I had this double stress. My daughter getting married and the Kickstarter. Well, the daughter getting married is now in the background, and yet I still feel some stress with the Kickstarter launching tomorrow. So we will see. Dice Tower tonight, January is scheduled for January 13th, 2020. I don't understand what any of that means. Email me about that offline, I guess. Why is Manchikoro Legacy up on the wall again? Are you re-reviewing it? No. We had contests and stuff. I guess I need to make that bigger. Hang on one second. No. I'm not re-reviewing it again. It's just that... they sponsored our shows, and so it's up there, and we had a contest for it recently. Did you give your daughter a custom Dice Tower as a wedding present? I did not. Well, how was the wedding? It was good. Was there any key lime pie? There was not. There was only wedding cake, I think. Well, and a groom's cake. It was okay, but that's okay. Dessert-wise, I'm fine. How was the food at the wedding? It was fine. Yeah, it was fine. So, let's see here. Recently got Sanctum for Christmas. Will the Dice Tower promos for it be available in the Kickstarter? You mean our previous Dice Tower promos? They might be available in the backer kit, maybe, or they'll be available on Board Game Geek eventually. We're still waiting till everyone gets all their stuff. Everything for our last Kickstarter is in the mail, is in transit. I don't want to, immediately turn around and have it somewhere else. So it's not in this year's Kickstarter. In fact, almost none of our promos from last year are in this year's Kickstarter, just for that reason. They may be in the backer kit afterwards. Are the Dice Tower podcast lost episodes re-released still in the works? Yes, we've run into two problems with that. One, Joe ran out of time. We're still going to do them. So we're still going to do them. And the second one is me and Joe both been working. We both thought we had old copies. We don't. We can't find anyone who does have them. People keep telling us to use a Wayback Machine, which I've tried. I just can't figure it out. So if somebody can help me figure out where these missing podcasts are, or maybe someone downloaded them, that would be super appreciative. Email me. Oh, and speaking of that, so if you can find those, I'd love to hear about it. Secondly, if you are watching here and you are a regular in our live streams, I'm looking for more people to be moderators. Don't mention it here in the channel. Email me offline. Tell me that you want to be a moderator and stuff, and I'll give you some of our policies for moderating these channels, but we could use some more of those. Why did I decide on Kickstarter versus GameFound? Well, don't be surprised if we use GameFound in the future, for sure. It's just that with GameFound still being new, we didn't have time to put the project together as fast as we are. We're launching on Kickstarter, but I would have been glad to launch on GameFound if we were able to do it in a reasonable amount of time. I'm still a big fan of GameFound, and I wish them the greatest of success. Why does Bonacker call himself the Podfather of gaming? What does that even mean? I have no idea. I think it's because it's vaguely mafia related, and he's like Italian, so he thinks he's mafia. He didn't start any podcast other than the one he and Ignacy do. He wasn't even around when our podcast started, and he hasn't had a hand in other podcasts. He doesn't. I don't get it. And that's why I don't call him it. Any early predictions for best 2021 game? No. I think I've played 2. What single board game have you played more than your wife than any other board game? I don't know off the top of my head, but I know that I did figure it out, and we did a most played board games top 10 one time. It probably hasn't changed too much from there. If I had to pick a couple of maps for Ticket to Ride to make, what would you choose? I would do Korea, because I lived there, and that would be fun to see a Korean map. And I would do Mexico, maybe? I don't know. Something like that. Congrats, Tom. No key lime pie. No, when I took my family out for the rehearsal dinner, they actually had key lime pie in the menu, but I refused to get it because I didn't want to be disappointed. It was in, we were in Tampa, and I just don't know what. Maybe it might have been good. I saw someone else eating it. It looked fine. It actually had boba tea balls on it, which I thought was odd. But it looked fine. I ended up getting peanut butter pie, which was quite good. Did I start tonight's original January 6th episode was postponed 1 week to this week? Yes, I know that. I'm still not confused what the problem is. Maybe it's marked wrong. We'll go look at it. When it comes to 4X games, what's your favorite X? It's well, so what is it? It's exploration. It's not exploration. It's not exploitation. Maybe I like that. It's not extermination. I think it's expansion. The tech tree, by far. I love tech trees. Like when I play Civilization, my favorite thing in it is the tech tree. Do I need to worry if last year's Kickstarter didn't arrive yet in Europe? No, just because of how slow the mail's being. I'd give it a month yet before you worried. But everything is in the mail. Hello, Tom. I don't have a question this time. I just wanted to let you know that I got a copy of Le Havre and I love it. Well, that's good. I'm glad you have. I just actually recently played the newest Rosenberg Hallertau. I'll be reviewing that in the Dice Tower podcast tomorrow and eventually on the show here. Oh yeah, the box is up here on the wall behind me. You can't see it. It's pretty far up. Are there any games so bad that they're good? That's kind of always a misnomer, right? Like, people say that movie's so bad it's good. It's not really. It's just so bad that you'd like to make fun of it. It's still bad. The only analogy I could think here might be Magical Athlete, which is a roll and move game in which you race people, and it's just bad sounding, and then you play and you're like, it's really fun despite all that. So that might be it. There are so many games, I don't have time to play them all. How do you manage this? Well, I work for Dice Tower here, and so I don't play them all. I pass a lot of them off. How would you advise someone on mentally and emotionally buying more games than they can play? I don't think you should. I don't think that's good for you. I get it. And the problem is, no matter how often we say it, people who are new to the hobby buy a ton of games. Most of them slow down eventually. Most of them calm down and will just buy the games that they like. But I found that saying something about it doesn't really do anything for people. CES 2021 started today. Any interest? I don't know what that means. The Dice Tower bins. Oh, you got them, but you haven't seen them yet? Sorry, I hope you get them soon. I'm not making a Dice Tower mask. I kept thinking about making one. If you wanted to make your own, I'll give you a graphic if you want to build it on your own. Let's see here. Let's see here. Did you do the college experience? I don't know what that means. Did I go to college, are you asking? Because yes, I did. Do you have to hire a third party to create your Kickstarter page or run it for you? No, we create it on our own. So it's a lot of work. If you look at my first Kickstarter page, it looks pretty bad. Z is actually pretty good at graphical design, and he, all credit to our Kickstarter page is because of Z. And Roy. Roy helps too. I do all the what goes where and this and that and the prices and everything, and I'll tell you what, it is such a headache. I hate it so much. But it is what it is. You got to do it. I don't really care for the Kickstarter in general. I'm excited about it, and I hope that, and it's exciting to see people back us, but the amount of work that goes into it's immense. I mean, even when I'm done here, all I'm doing the rest of today is working on that Kickstarter, because we are getting still changes and things now about it. My favorite type of cookie? I don't know. Maybe a sugar cookie. I know I mean, the 2 cookies with ice cream in between them is the best. Have you had any contact with Sam recently? Well, I said hello to him via text just 2 days ago since his daughter was in my daughter's wedding. So I sent him a picture. How would you feel about a poll on BGG to assess how accurate on the time on the box? That would be interesting. I think that'd be more useful than the weight of the game. Like, how long does this game actually take to play? Tom, did you get the Anachrony big box? Yes. Have you been able to play the new expansion? No. I have to say, it's been a while since I've been that put off by a box. So I got it for the Dice Tower Library. My daughters were starting to sort it out, and they kept calling me in to ask questions, and I kept going in and be like, yeah, I think this goes here and here. It has a booklet that comes with it that tells you where everything goes, and it still took 6 hours to put everything in there. It took forever. And I'm looking at this thinking, I don't know if I would want to play this. There's just so much stuff. You have to pull it all out, set the game up. I mean, it's going to be in the Dice Tower Library, but I bet it doesn't get played very often because it's overwhelming. So that maybe the new expansion's good, although I never thought Anachrony needed an expansion. It's a big, grandiose game that already came with an expansion or 2. I don't know that it needed more than that, but who knows? Did I finish off all those ice sundae toppings? No. What's my favorite ice cream? Gooey butter cake from Jenny's. So Jenny's is in Columbus, Ohio. That's where we first met it when we went to Origins, and there's several there. And I thought their ice cream was amazing. Somebody sent me Jenny's ice cream for Christmas, which was an amazing Christmas gift. And then, lo and behold, not 300 feet from where my daughter got married, there was a Jenny's ice cream in Tampa, Florida. Unbelievably cool. So me and my son, we were out walking, just getting some exercise, and I said to him, don't tell your sisters or your mother. This is an experiment. I need to see if it's the same ice cream. And it was indeed. Also, there was a neat spice store there. And I love spices. And they had different balsamic vinegars and olive oil. So I got a blood orange olive oil, which tasted good, and a mango sriracha balsamic vinegar, which I'm really excited about. I love stuff like that. Do you know if there's any plans for a third Choose Your Own Adventure game? I haven't heard anything about that. If there was, it should have come out this year. And this year would have been, 2020. And 2020 would have been a good year to release one of those. But a lot of stuff is delayed, so who knows? Have you played New Angeles? I have not, actually. New Angeles came out in 2016. How do I know this? Because tomorrow we're talking about games that came out in 2016 in the Dice Tower podcast, since it's 5 years ago. 2016 is an unbelievable year. And when I was going through the list of games, trying to get my top 10 together, I was like, wow, New Angeles. I never did get around to playing that, but I probably won't. I heard it's really, really long, and so just probably won't ever get to the table. I looked at the movies coming out in 2021. Looks like a rough year. Might have been 3 movies I'm interested in, and I think most of those are 2020 carryovers. Sure, but there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to come out streaming, and the Disney Plus slate. I mean, this Friday, WandaVision starts. I'm very excited about that. That will be viewing here at the Vasel household. I don't know how well that will work for the whole family. We'll see if everybody likes it. I know I'm going to like it, but I don't know if the kids will or not. Any chance you'll do more blooper videos? Oh, I appreciate that. Probably just once a year. And there are a lot of work. That was a lot of work to do. I normally don't do the editing, but I did a lot of editing on that particular blooper video because I had to go find the videos, record them, and because we don't keep all our hard videos, we just can't. It's too much space, and figure out where the bloopers are. They're fun, but a year's worth is probably good. Did you know that Jimmy Dean sausage is sausage? I would disagree on that. But I am not a big fan of breakfast sausage in general. Thank you for all the people saying very nice things. This and this is very nice things to say. Do you really play board games every day? I do not. In fact, this has been the longest stretch, I think. I was about to say I didn't play any board games, but I did bring a solo type game experience with me on the trip, and so I played that. Rado said in his Q&A, if we like to hear about the FFG state, we should ask you. Well, I don't know. It doesn't look good for them, but I could be surprised and wrong. I don't want to be a doom and gloom prophet. They don't look great right now, but I have hopes. I always do. Played Dune Imperium this first time this weekend. My least favorite mechanism was the randomness of the combat rewards. Well, I don't think it's random. You see what they are so you can prepare for them. If you don't like them, you can just not participate in combat that round. That would be my thing of it. My least favorite mechanic of Dune? I don't know. I don't think I had one. I really like that game. What are you and your family's favorite anime shows? I don't really like anime. I like animated movies. Studio Ghibli, I really like their stuff. But I don't really watch a lot of anime. When the kids were watching, well, see, I got to be careful because I don't know what's anime and what's not. So let's just leave it at that. Does this say January 4th for this particular Q&A? I'll pull it up and look at it on YouTube right now. It is Christmas is over, but I kind of miss the music a little bit, but not too much. All right, we'll go to content, and we'll go to live. And, oh yeah, it does say January 4th. Well, crazy. I'll fix that right now. It's actually January 11th. All right, it's changed. Refresh and you'll see the fix. There you go. That's live for you. All right, let's see what we also got here. Is there any merit in, instead of simplifying and streamlining a game, making the rules more complex, where every new addition changes the fundamental rules in some way? That sounds horrible. I guess it could work, but I don't think so. Tom, is there a particular backer goal you're willing to tease that you're especially excited for? Oh, you mean the stretch goals? Well, I mean, I can just tell you what the stretch goals are. I'm not going to be secretive about that. All righty. So our goal is 200,000. Our stretch goal 220 will be bringing in 5 guests for top 10 lists, or probably virtually. Then we have Ruby and Violet will be doing their top 50 games of all time. Then our next one, 4 spectacular events this year: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Then Trey Parker from South Park doing a top 10 with us. Dan and Cora doing their top 100 games. A new video series where we talk about publishers, spotlighting them over the course of the year. Tim from Meepleville joining me and Z for a new review show where we highlight older games. 2 more playthroughs like the Twilight Imperium ones where we go through and give you color commentary in between turns. And Dice Tower Brick by Brick behind the scenes series. And I actually have the next 2 already done. I'm not going to mention those yet because I'm not going to worry about getting to those right now. Right now our goal is to fund. I'm surprised no one has asked me about the games that we have promos for. Our game group has grown to 6 people. I want to split into 2 groups of 3, but one person wants to only play 6 scary games so we don't lose the focus on fellowship. I would say, well, then we'll just split up and play 2 different, we can play 2 games of 3 and then do it again. Or I would have a 5-player game night. That would solve the problem too. I get that he wants to do everything together. There's very few games that are good with 6 that aren't party games. Do you glue your pitch car rails? I did for one set, and it was okay, but they're much harder to store that way. So now I just put them in, and if they pop out, that's part of the game. Do you like kaiju movies? I really, really don't like those old Godzilla movies. I am mind-boggled that people like them and that people say they're so much better than today. That is, to me, an example of nostalgia at its finest. Like, people are like, the guy in the rubber suit. Like, have you seen these? I'm super confused. They're really bad. I'm not saying the new Godzilla movies are amazing. I liked the newest one, the King of the Monsters, which I did not like at all in the theater. I came out and I was like, pfft. And then when I watch it home with my family, it grew on me. I was like, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And I know no one likes the Matthew Broderick one, but there were a lot of moments in that I liked. If they had taken the humans out, I enjoyed the Godzilla in it. And then the other one in between, which I thought was okay. But the special effects in these look so much cooler than the guy in a rubber suit. And everyone's like, well, there's charm. And I just don't get it. It must be me. It's just weird to me that I look at those and they look so cheesy and fake. I just don't get it. I did like King Kong Skull Island a lot. And I'm really excited about Godzilla vs. King Kong. But we'll see. It's just not my style. So, do you watch TikTok videos? I do not. I'm really finding that it is much better for me. I don't read Twitter almost at all. I read Facebook a little bit, but mostly stay in the Dice Tower group. I've done Instagram a bit, but I don't really do it that much. I find that staying off the stuff, A, saves me a lot of time, and B, keeps me being a bit positive. What's the backstory in the Dice Tower South Park connection? I was flying to LA a few years ago, and I put out a tweet or a Facebook that said, hey, I'm coming to LA. Does anyone want to play games? Let me know. And Trey Parker emailed me and said, it's Trey Parker from South Park. And I was like, yeah, right. So he called me, and yes, indeed, it was him. So we went over and played some games with him at the studio. That was that. It was fun. I did not know he listened to the Dice Tower. Any early guesses on the next Spiel winner? Well, there's always games that are going to be released between then and now. I don't know. That's an interesting thought. I would say Nidavellir would be a good jump for it, except I'm not sure that that's out in Germany. But that would be a pick for me, that one. Although that's might be Kennerspiel because they're focusing on really, really simple things. I'll predict that there's a game that's been out for a few years that finally is out in Germany, like maybe 5 Minute Marvel or something like that, that will be picked because that usually seems to happen. Other than that, I wouldn't know. I'd have to look through a list of games and then see if they're in Germany or not. CES is a big Technics convention, and this year the main topic is augmented reality. Board game potential, maybe. Maybe. I see that there's a lot of possibilities with this futuristic technology, but I need to see it done in a really cool way where it actually also is not done just to be cool, but it actually is used for the board game. Hey, Tom, recently started watching again after a 6-year break. About what time did your change of clothing style happen? Well, here's the deal. I've always actually dressed like this outside. And For a while, I was doing it in t-shirts and 3-button shirts, but I just don't like wearing that clothing. I just don't do it much at all anyway. And I like dressing up. I was wearing ties a lot when I first started the Dice Tower channel. And then I faded away from that for whatever reason. But now I just do it. I mean, yes, there's definitely, it is a look, right? But I also do wear a tie. I was at I was getting pizza at a make-your-own-pizza place right before the wedding. And the guy making my pizza said, I have a question. Are you Tom Vasel from the Dice Tower? Which was very nice of him to, but I thought it was odd because I'm wearing a mask and I wasn't wearing a tie or a hat. And he said he recognized me by my suspenders. Go figure. So that was cool. That does not happen very often where I get recognized out in public like that, but it was cool. So, do I listen to music on my off time? All the time. I love music. But I always get asked this. It's always the same thing. What genre of music do you typically listen to? Happy music. I just like fun, cheerful music. You can search for my lists on Spotify. They're either Vasel or Dice Tower. Usually you can find them. I got a Christmas list, a peaceful list, a fun list. That's the one I listen to most of the time, a Christian list. I just have various lists that I listen to. Best ice cream ever, talking about Jenny's, and that is really the case, folks. I'm not kidding. Jenny's is my favorite ice cream I've ever had, and I've had a lot of different kinds. Is there a game you think will be extremely hyped and talked about this year? Well, Frosthaven. And speaking of Frosthaven, let's talk about the Dice Tower Kickstarter. We have last few years we've had a scenario for Gloomhaven. We do not have one this year. But what we do have is we have a scenario for Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. So this will use an existing map that's already in the book, just with different rules and things like that. Or if you don't have the book, you can print out the map and use it. So you could technically, it would not be as easy to do, but you could technically do it with regular Gloomhaven. But it's meant to be played with Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. So designed by Isaac Childress. I'm excited about that, and that will be part of our Kickstarter this year. When's the next Marble Races? Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Normally I do it at 10, but we're doing it early tomorrow because of the Kickstarter. I want to have some time in between that. Favorite character in the MCU? Oh, that's good. Oh, Captain America. For sure. I like a lot of Marvel characters. I really like Captain America. I like how they betrayed him. I like his character growth. I like his beginning. I like his ending. Just worked out well all across the board. The ending for Captain America in the movie, the one thing I wanted to see, I said I really want to see that. I didn't think they could put it in Endgame, and they did anyway. Very happy with that. Really enjoyed the 10,000 Below series you did last year. Would you consider doing something similar this year, maybe A to Z with highest and lowest rated game beginning with A? Maybe. I haven't decided what I'm going to do, although I have an idea of what I'm going to do. Let's see. By the way, folks, I'm not answering every question. I apologize if I skip your question. Some of these I answer a lot, so I try to pick different and new interesting ones. And a lot of these, I do a lot of top 10s on, so someone will say, what's your favorite of this game? Well, if you search, we probably have done a top 10 on them. Does it bother you when people eat or snack at the table during a game? I hate being the guy to tell people not to eat, but I always worry they'll get food at my game table. I'm always very clear on that, I suppose. I say, I don't mind people eating, just be very cautious. And there are some foods I would ban from the table, Cheetos, salsa, things like that. But people munch on almonds and peanuts and, different things, whatever. Have ever taken a trip to Disney World? Just once. I would have liked to have gone more than that, but it's very expensive because I don't get to go to these parks by myself. I go with my family. So it would be fun to go, but we just went once. When are Tom Vasel worn ties going to be a Kickstarter reward? That would be weird. That would be weird. Do I have an opinion on Dice Throne Adventures? Well, I would suppose I have to wait till it's out. It's not out yet. Definitely, I feel like it's a 2021 game, so I just haven't seen it yet. So when it comes out, I'm sure it'll be fun. Tom, please recommend a cheaper Project Elite alternative. It's so expensive. Well, here's my thinking on this subject is it is expensive, and I really do like it. But if you just want the base game, which is fine, it's enough to play the game with. It's not as expensive, but I imagine, like most games, that it will eventually get cheaper, and you'll be able to find it easily on the internet. I would imagine. For a cheap alternative, there really isn't much like it. Maybe Escape. You're not really fighting there, you're running. So Escape. Do you think there's an ideal number for a board game group? Yeah, like 200. Really, a big game group is amazing because there's always people playing games. So you're talking about a small game group, I'm sure. I don't know what the ideal number is because 4 seems pretty good because if someone can't make it, you can still play 3-player games. 5 is good, but there's a lot of Euro games that just don't work well with 5. 6 is tough, although with 6, we'll split into 3 and 3. We do that here all the time. Do you have one thing that really excites you about this year's Kickstarter? Well, I'm really excited about the werewolf cards and the playing cards, and I've already talked about both of those. One teaser about it. Let me look here. Well, unless I won't do a teaser, I'll just do something straight out. I've already alluded to this a bit, but I'll tell you, one of the backer rewards do you like our little dice people that we have, where each person has their own dice person, or 4 or 5 different versions of them in some cases? You want one, you can get one. That's limited because Tina can only draw so much, but you'll be able to get one of those in the Kickstarter. Hang on one moment. And back. Do you plan on making a new top 100 games of all time? Yes, my list is done. I believe Mike is working on his right now. Z's is done. We got to put them together. There's a lot of stats and stuff I want to do this year, talk about at least, so there's a bit of that going on. Have you trademarked your seals? I believe they're trademarked, maybe, I'm not sure. Whatever we can do legally without actually paying for it. Developers do not pay me when they put their seal on a game. You do not have to pay me to put the seal of excellence or seal of approval on a game, no. You don't have to pay to put anything from the Dice Tower in your game. With, I guess, technically Dice Tower Essentials, that's a royalty thing. I've worked with Arcane Wonders. But all the other stuff are seals, top 10s, and we're going to actually be working on it to make top 10 seals that publishers can put on their games if they so desire. Let me see here. How many of your reviews come from using Tabletop Simulator these days? 0. I really don't like Tabletop Simulator. Now, let me phrase that. I think Tabletop Simulator is great for people who like it. I just don't. The last time I played Tabletop Simulator, you all probably saw, it was us playing with Sam. We did a live playthrough of their Hell game, and we played it through Tabletop Simulator, and I'm good. If I'm going to play online with people, I'm going to use the iPad and play any of the games available there. I have the guys here to play games with, and I also have my family. I get to play a ton of games with them. I'm very fortunate in that regard, I know. It's also expensive to have a big family, so allow me my joy in being able to play games with them. Oh, Kevin, a new member. Welcome. Yes, thank you. Let's see here. What games do you promos for? What? All right. I'll give you a few of them. Okay. Well, you already know about Just One because we have a contest for it. Wavelength. Sheriff of Nottingham, the command version. Monstrosity. Onitama. Catacombs, Artemis Project, Creature Comforts, Fickle, Chiseled, Tournament Fishing, Now or Never, Nemesis, Flick of Faith, Lizard Wizard, Underwater Cities, Fairy Tale Inn, Ark Ravels, Streets, Anno 1800, Sanctuary of the Keeper's Era, Tavern Tales, Dungeon Drop, Drop Drive, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Freedom 5, Summoner Wars, Isle of Cats, After the Empire, Reavers of Midgard, Robinson Crusoe, Watergate, Skull Hollow, Chronicles of Crime, Tainted Grail, Etherfields, Folklore, Foundations of Rome, Paris, Honeybuzz, Unmatched, Summit, Captain Sonar, The Magnificent, Almanac, Clank, Mandela Stones, Conspiracy Abyss Universe, Everdell, Paladins of the West Kingdom, Adventure Tactics, Genotype, Dinosaur World, and more. Cool. I'm excited. What promo am I most excited for in a Kickstarter? Okay, now this is not very fair, right? Because there's so many cool ones. But on a personal level, I'm very excited about Adventure Tactics. Me and my kids have been playing that for a while. And they are pleased that there is now a ruby and violet slime, which actually makes sense thematically too, that are being added to the game that you can fight against and get stuff from them. So I'm excited about that. My Xmas tree is still up, and I don't want to take it down. When's the statute of limitation on leaving up a live Xmas tree? Until people living in your house care about it. I don't care. I don't care if people leave their Christmas lights up all year round. That's fine by me. Is Seven Wonders good for 3 to 4 players? Yes. I'm at work with no audio. Anyone in chat know why tickets aren't on sale for Dice Tower East? It's sold out. No, tickets are not on sale for Dice Tower East because we are still working on it. We don't want to put the tickets on sale until we feel confident we're going to run it, which at this point we really don't know. We'll have more information for that probably in February or so. We are working on it as if we will run it. You know, there's steps being made and stuff, but we are also taking into account that it may not happen. So not sure. Until I'm more sure, I don't want to sell tickets. But we will eventually sell tickets, probably. And then if we do sell tickets and you buy one and we do cancel it, they'll be automatically transferred to next year. That I can guarantee you. Trevor says there's few good 6-player games that aren't party games. Translates to very few good 6-player games. Boo! You anti-party snobs. Boo! Party games are so much fun. I'm always mind-boggled that some people don't like them. I mean, look, I love it. There's not a ton of party games in my top 100, but there are some because party games are a blast. I love party games. Sometimes you just want to just sit back and have fun and not think too hard. I get it. You know, not everyone likes it. Fine. I don't. You know, there's some genres of gaming I don't like. But man, this idea that party games are bad games. Now there's a lot of bad party games out there, but there's a lot of fun ones too. Tom setting up a game to play right now. Please pick 2 numbers between 1 and 7 to aid with setup. 2 and 3. Wow, you're a newcomer to modern board games and you just bought Lost Ruins of Arnak and you love it? Well, there's so many. Honestly, I can't tell you what to get next, but I would say check out our top 10 of the year. There's a lot of good games in there, and that's from just me. Will you be doing another solo marathon this year? It is possible. I cannot promise it, but it's possible that we will do a solo marathon. It may not just be me. I may switch out, and Mike might come in and do a solo game, and maybe Roy. I don't know the details yet, but we would like to do that. Furnace for Spiel des Jahres? No, I don't think so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Furnace. I think it's too complex for where the Spiel des Jahres is at this point in time. I mean, they could do it because that committee does stuff, and I'm not really sure where they're at on it. I just think it's too complex. I'm watching all the Marvel movies in chronicle order instead of year published. It makes so much more sense. Did you ever watch the Marvel movies in chronicle order? No. Nah. Watching them out of order doesn't really bother me because they're not that out of order. I mean, yeah, technically, I guess you watch Captain America first, but it didn't bother me. Have you heard any news on possible Funkoverse sets coming this year? On the Funkoverse Facebook group, someone was rumoring that Space Jam was coming. Rumor, but that would be cool. But I don't know. What else do you enjoy doing at Essen other than a game fair? Eating. That's really it. From what I understand, Essen is not a big, city for tourists and stuff. So there's not a lot there. And I'm so busy when I'm Essen, all I have time to do is eat and go to the fair. So I can't tell you anything else other than that. Is Sovereign Chess behind you just a chess variant? Yeah, but it's an intriguing chess variant. So this is a game in which it's a huge board. I want to say it's 14 by 14. It's a big board. And you have black and white. And then around the board are groups of colored pieces. There are 8 pieces per color, 4 in different sections. When you move a piece, and your piece, there's different colored squares in the middle of the board. If you land on a pink piece, you then control that color. And therefore, so if I'm on pink, now all the pink pieces are under my control. And if I move one of those pink pieces onto yellow, I now also control yellow. But if I then move my piece off pink, I no longer control pink. And since I no longer control pink, I no longer control yellow. And there's lots of queens and lots of, it's crazy. It's highly amusing. I'll talk more about it when I do a full review of it. Your suit and hat at the wedding were very dapper. Well, thank you. I actually didn't wear the hat during the wedding. I only wore it for that one picture. And the suit was brand new, bought for the wedding. "2008 Tom kind of reminds me of Milton from Office Space." That seems awfully rude, actually. Isn't he? Maybe it's not rude. I don't know. After the pandemic ends, which country would you want to visit first? USA. And then after that, anything, really. Favorite episode of The Mandalorian? Oh, that's a good one. I want to say the second last one I was pretty excited about. Of season 2. That was a pretty solid episode. I really did like the last episode. I really liked that whole season. I thought the episodes kept getting better. And the one where he was recruited by a town to take on somebody who was terrorizing the town, that one was pretty cool too. That's not spoilers, I don't think. The opening episode of Mandalorian was rocking of season 2. I like season 1 a lot. Actually, my favorite episode from season 1 was the prison break. But season 2, I thought every episode from season 2 was better than almost all the episodes from season 1. It just got better and better. What story would you like to see in the upcoming What If MCU stream? I don't know what stories they're doing. So it's hard because a lot of my favorite What If stories involve the X-Men. So, like what if Magneto had run the X-Men since the beginning, and what if this happened? There's a what if Uncle Ben had never died. That's an interesting one. I don't know off the top of my head. I really like what ifs, but I don't know. It's hard for me to take the X-Men out. Getting married soon. What locations would you recommend? I don't know. I don't think the location matters that much. Do I follow the Zombicide Fridays that Kamana's publishing? No, I don't know anything about that. Do you have a favorite snack from when you were in Korea? Yeah, I really like dried squid. I ate it a lot in Korea. You get dried squid, like if we were on a train, they'd come give you some dried squid with a little bit of butter. Put that butter on it. So good. Do I think GameFound will take off for anyone else other than Awakened Realms? Yeah. Well, they announced the next game, which is the sequel from Lucky Ducks. Wow, the name just went out of my mind, and it's not sitting in this room, so I can't look at it and tell. The tower defense game. Anyway, the sequel to that is coming to Awakened Realms. I mean to GameFound. So yeah, I think it will do well. Lucky Duck has really good projects. Do you still do the snack box? Yes, but instead of it being here in the studio, it's now at home. My kids get it, and we go through the different country. What are the disadvantages of games being released on Kickstarter? Well, there's a lot. You don't. The biggest one is you're not in. Once you're done, you have to work hard on your own to get it into distribution. You know, game stores don't like when the game has already been kickstarted because the alpha gamers, a lot of people buy games, may have already kickstarted it. That being said, that's the way it is with a lot of games now. So there's probably bigger disadvantages that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but that would be one. Oh, what location do I recommend for honeymoons? Oh, if it's next year, if it's 2022, I would recommend, I don't know, I'd recommend all kinds of things. Me and my wife went to Washington, D.C. That was good, but I mean, for me, I want to go somewhere where I can see stuff. Like there are honeymoon resorts and stuff. I'm sure they're fantastic and all, but I want to go do something. So me and my wife would have been happy going anywhere. You know, anywhere that's interesting. Niagara Falls, New York, I don't know, the Grand Canyon. I mean, there's just a million places. I wouldn't even know where to go with my wife. For me, we'd want to take a trip to Asia probably, which we did last year, 2 years ago. Last year is now 2020. Any tips on how to get Kickstarter games after they are funded? Would like to get my hands on Dominaire's Tower, but I don't know how, where. Well, sometimes, I mean, I know there's at least one game store, and I can't remember the name of it, that sells you Kickstarter pledges for immense amounts of money. Sometimes they're going to get into distribution, so you just keep an eye out for that. You know, the Kickstarter backers get them first, and then wait. I would put a watch on different game stores to see. And then things like Dominaire's Tower, I know they're going to, Dominaire's Tower, I know they're going to be doing another Kickstarter for it, so I'd keep an eye out for that. XCOM is similar to Project Elite. XCOM is not even remotely like Project Elite. They're very, very different games. No, they're not even a little alike, other than maybe the theme. Any chance that we'll see again the rankings of the best-selling games by month or year? I am working on getting that set up, okay? So give me some time. There's some changes and things we're going to make to that, but that is a series that we will be bringing back. Am I going to do a review of Taxi Derby? Well, I talk about it in the podcast going up tomorrow, but I will be doing a review of it with my children. So, yes, we'll be talking about it. What's the origin of me saying huzzah? I don't know. I know they say it a lot in Dork Tower. I don't read a ton of Dork Tower, but that may be where it comes from. Maybe from an old, I don't know, huzzah! I don't know exactly where it's from, but Dork Tower might be where it comes from. I don't know, I just like saying stuff like that. Any dice options this year's Kickstarter? Yeah, we're going to have new dice. We have two different kinds. We don't have pictures of them yet in the Dice Tower. I haven't got them yet. We're going to do the double D6s again, where there's a 12-sided die, and 1 through 6 on there twice, and they're going to be orange and black because we have a monster theme this year. And then we're doing regular 6-sided dice that are going to be glow in the dark. We've never done that before, so we thought we would. Which is cooler, a stamp collection or a coin collection? I personally like stamp collections better just because there's so many cool stamps from all over the world. I also collected stamps for a while in my teenage years. You talk about me being burned on the hobby, though, I think stamp collecting is where it's at. So for stamp collecting, I didn't know anything about stamp collecting when I got into it. You could buy books, and I realized that stamp collecting was not something where you can catch them all. So many countries just put out tons and tons of stamps. So I would buy envelopes. I'd get people to give me their used envelopes. This wouldn't even work today. In fact, is stamp collecting a dying breed since so few letters get sent now? But you get the envelopes and you soak them in water and the stamps would come off, and I put them in books and look at them. But there was a couple problems with stamp collecting. One was once you put the stamps in the books, you just looked at them. See, that's why I don't really like collections like that. I don't collect stuff I can't. I collect music because I can listen to it. I collect, board games because I can play them. Stamps, I looked at them and then I was done. What else can you do? But I very much remember that one of my friends also collected stamps, and his dad took me, my brother, and his son to a stamp collecting club. So we went to this club. This is one of those moments I do not forget. We went there on Tuesday night or something that they met, and it was it was near the hospital. They met in a small room, and we were the youngest people there by a factor of 10. And they were auctioning off stuff, different things that they had, and the numbers were here, and they weren't super nice. They weren't like rude, but they were just kind of like, oh yeah, you're here to talk about stamps. And then they talked about stamps on another level, and I never forgot that. I was like, well, I can't afford this hobby. We would go to stamp shows, and I walk around, and I would buy like a bag of stamps, a bunch of stamps in a bag or whatever, and that was cool, but it was almost you were looked down on, like, oh, you collect used stamps, you collect, stamps that aren't very valuable. Yeah, because I can't afford these other stamps. And I kind of burned out on it. It just wasn't very interesting. But it was cool, and I'm glad I did it. I had a stamp board game. How often do you replace the cups in your cupboard? When they break, I guess. Oh, can we please talk about politics? What's your opinion on it? No. just to clear that up. So, no. Why did you and Z review Spies and Lies? Well, Z reviewed it first, and then he gave it to me. He said, this is something you would like. I reviewed it, and I loved it. And I said, Z, I'm going to put this in one of my short video things where I do 10 short things. And Z's like, hey, if you really like it, that's a lot different than me, then you should do your own video on it. I was like, yeah, why not? So I did. That's why. No other reason. What's the longest you've ever grown your beard? Not much longer than this. Every time I let it go a little bit, I let it go pretty long during the initial quarantine, and I couldn't stand it. As soon as it touches my collar, it bothers me. Did my father wear a beard? Maybe a few times in life, not much. He's a mustache guy. Did you ever play Cavern at 7? I did. Once. It was interesting. Any new Dice Tower Essential games coming out? Well, we got Monuments of Rome is coming, or Foundations of Rome is coming out this year, so that's exciting. Freedom 5 is on its way eventually. We just had Aquatica and Smartphone released. There's expansion coming for Viral, and there's a few other things on the horizon, so there's still more stuff coming. Oh, and there's a new one, 4 Winds. I'm very excited about that. I'm interested in Key Largo. It seems to be sadly out of print. It's definitely out of print. That's interesting because that's a game I could see getting reworked and put back into print. It's a good game. It's not great, but it's good. One of the designers of it has passed away quite a while ago. And it's definitely a cool, interesting idea of a game that, about seeing how deep you can dive. I could see someone picking this up and reworking it, reprinting it. Where do I get my 2020 Gloomhaven scenario PDF? Oh, if you go in the backer kit, you'll be able to download it there. If you can't find it, that was sent out a month or 2 months ago. If you can't find it, email us at kenny@dicetower.com and he'll get it to you directly. Did you make the marble board? No, I had it made for me. Do you feel that elitism has died down in recent years? No. Favorite fedora donned icon in popular culture? Oh, that's interesting. Is it Indiana Jones? Dick Tracy? Those are the top two, I think, for me. I don't know. I like your style, though. That's a good question. Content for just one? Check out Board Game Breakfast, which went live today, and I talk about it there. If there's a Spiel 21 in Essen this year, will you be there? If I'm allowed to be there and it's possible for us to get there safely, then yes, I'll be there. Thank you to all the... Thank you, by the way, for the nice comments. You know, sometimes the internet is not always a kind place, and you sometimes tend to focus on the negative stuff, and that happens more often than you might think. And you tend to read the negative things, but it's very nice for the very nice comments that people make, and I do appreciate that. I mean, I don't think I'm above criticism. People can criticize me all they want. You know, that comes with the thing. But it's still nice to hear nice words, and I appreciate that. That is not a call for people to suddenly start typing nice comments in the thing. I'm not asking for that. I'm just saying I do appreciate them. Have you thought about publishing the times of your live content in iCalendar format so we can subscribe to it and make it easier for people in other time zones? We're going to work on that at some point, figuring out a way to make it easier for people to do it. I just say Eastern Standard Time because that's the time I'm in, and it's the easiest way to do it. We'll work on making it better. What are my favorite color poker chips? Red, I guess. What new factions would you want to see in the next Smash Up expansion? I don't know, but I'm excited about the new upcoming Marvel Smash Up, I guess. Would you be able to add the Journey of the Lion in the back if you were able to back for the Freedom 5 level? You can add. You'll be able to add the Gloomhaven scenario to every pledge. It's not a problem. How many times do you reuse your frying oil? I don't like reusing it. My wife does sometimes. So it's all. That would be a better question for her. Oh, the Unmatched promo? That's just a foil card of an existing card. It's not something you need or gets added to a deck. It's just a foil card. I don't remember which one it is off the top of my head. Love the coasters from the 2020 Kickstarter. Well, we have new ones for this year too. My local board game cafe does board game rentals at a great rate, but I haven't rented a single game that wasn't missing a piece. Is there a reasonable solution for this problem? There really isn't. Even if they counted every piece, which is exhausting to do when you come back in, people are going to lose pieces. I got a piece sitting right here on the table here, but I know where this is from because I just put a bunch of extra component pieces. I try to be really careful, folks. I try to watch all my games like a hawk that are in the Dice Tower library. They lose pieces. We check the floors at Dice Tower conventions when we're done, and you lose pieces. That's how it works. I'm thinking about moving to Miami, but everyone always talks about the crime there. Did you ever worry about raising a family there, about these rumors before moving there? Are these rumors too harsh? It's like everywhere else. I thought the same thing. You know, I was like, oh, there's crime everywhere in Miami. Yeah, there's crime in Miami. It's a big city like every other city, but one thing people don't realize, I guess, many times is a lot of crime is crime on crime, like a gang on gang type thing. And if you're not in one of those, then it's not that big of a deal, right? I'm not worried about someone coming after me because I'm in the wrong gang. There's also a lot of, every city has its bad sections and not. And Miami is no different. There are bad sections. I'm not really close to any of them. And there's just precautions. I don't. There might be some neighborhoods in Miami that I wouldn't go to after dark at all. But like in my neighborhood, I mean, especially if you're in an HOA. If you're in an HOA, you're safe anyway. And most people, there's not a lot of crime in HOAs. There's not a lot of fun in HOAs either. But I feel safe with my family here. Obviously, I'm careful. I grew up in the city, so this sort of thing doesn't bother me as much as a lot of other people either. How stressed are you when the Kickstarter Dice Tower con is on? There. Until it funds. Once it funds, I'm like, whew, unless someone's blowing an air horn in my ear. Have you ever thought about doing a convention in the New York City area? I haven't thought about doing a new convention at all. Okay, we will be thrilled to run our conventions as is. So we'll see. What Marvel United expansion are you the most excited about? Oh, all of it. I'm excited just to get new things. That's gonna be fun. Are you a candy or chocolate guy? Candy for sure. Now that you host Werewolf Games, would you consider possibly running a Werewolf Legacy campaign over Zoom? Probably not. Someone else already did that, and I think I'd like just running my own custom weird Werewolf Games. I have not done it for a while, but I will be coming back, folks. What are games everyone says are hard to win, but you find easy, and or vice versa? So for the first half of your question, none. The second half, it's so annoying. All the time I'll play a game and I'll go, this game's hard. And people are like, what? It's easy. I've never lost it in my life. I don't see anyone can lose it. And you're like, oh, I guess I'm just stupid then. What do you think Kickstarter versus Patreon is a source of funding? In my head, rightly or wrongly, it seems to be that Kickstarter is preferred by networks such as Dice Tower, while Patreon works better for individuals. I don't know so much about that. Patreon requires a lot less work. You put the Patreon up, you just let it there, and the money comes in, right? But Patreon also requires you to ask for money all the time, and I hate asking for money. So I try to do it once a year. Kickstarter is also very exciting and bigger and probably would bring in more money than the Patreon. People have asked me why I don't do both. Mainly, I always have feared that if I ran a Patreon after the Kickstarter, people would be like, double dipping. How much money do you need, Vasel? I'm like, man, we spend all our money and we do this, we buy equipment, but it don't matter. People look, last year we got, what, 300,000 on the Kickstarter, and people are like, Tom, you made 300,000. No, I didn't. 10% of that is immediately gone, thanks to Kickstarter and stuff. And then some of those pledges don't even go through. Figure 5% of your pledges don't even happen. And then all the stuff that we buy for the different backer rewards, is expensive. The actual time hours put into that, then I pay everyone's salaries and buy new equipment. And you know how much money's left after that? None. It all goes away. So, and I mean, that's fine, but there is a lot of work involved with it. All righty, well, folks, it is 1:05. We got to get back to working on the Kickstarter. So, there you go. I'm not going to talk much more about stuff right now, but we'll be back tomorrow. You'll see some live stuff tomorrow, and we'll be scheduling that stuff soon. But I got to go back in there and work out our stuff with everybody else. Thank you to everybody who watches this. I appreciate it. Tomorrow we'll be live in the morning at 9 o'clock with more Shoots and Marbles. Dun, 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 dun. And more stuff coming this week. Thank you, everybody. I like talking to you all each week. Until next time. Hang on, I gotta get my outro ready so it makes sense. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower. What? This video file's not even found? Okay, never mind. We're done.